From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Daniels Roofing, licensed, bonded, insured roofing contractor. 45 years of generational expertise, offering a variety of roofing systems in the North State. Composition shingles, metal, tile, fire-safe wood shingles, and spray foam roofing systems. An energy-saving cool roof, perfect for commercial flat roofs and mobile homes. With other companies, you may get a foreman or a salesman, but with Daniels Roofing, you get Daniel. Call today for your free estimate. Daniels Roofing, 3 generations working hard to protect your home and business.
Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, and of course, quick reminder here that this Friday, yes, it is this Friday at the Cascade Theater. You've got Jane Lynch and Kate Flannery, two hilarious ladies that got some great vocals and comedy, and they are doing a show at the Cascade Theater this Friday, September 5th. The Trouble with Angels. Get your tickets before they sell out. You can get them at cascadetheater.org, or you can also call the number on your screen, 530-243-8877. Well, let's get you right to the forecast, but I do want to remind you that as we kind of get into some more storms possibly, I want to remind you that you can send your storm photos from the free Weather NorCal app or any other great photos here, whether it's a sunrise, a sunset, your pets, what's going on with your pets. We love to see all those animals and love those pictures as well. So share your photos from the free Weather NorCal app on your iPhone and your Android. So here's a look at your weather headlines. Slightly above average highs for most of the week, but I do expect to dip in our temperatures here later this week, especially by the end of the week. We're also looking at the potential for thunderstorms in the mountains, unfortunately. Starting tomorrow and Wednesday, then those chances may start to diminish, and it does not look to be quite as widespread as it was, especially as we do go into Wednesday. Closer look at that a little bit later. We have a fire weather watch with the dry lightning threat here as we also look at that chance for thunderstorms. But as I mentioned, cooler by the end of the week and as we go into the weekend. So hot to start off, temperatures dropping after that. But first, for those of you that are in a hurry, let's take a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. This is for your Monday, September 1st. Yes, we are now in September. There you go, right? There's a look at out the door this morning. Temperatures upper 60s for the valley at 8 o'clock this morning, and we've got those temperatures in the upper 50s. Now, obviously, getting out the door, you're not going to school. Many of you are not heading off to work, but it's maybe you got a hike planned or something. Should be a good day for it. So you've got an area of low pressure spinning to our north, another one spinning to our west. It's going to take a while for either of those to really have any impact on our weather in the form of cooler temperatures, but high pressure is still that dominant feature that's going to keep temperatures fairly hot. Now, we also have some moisture that's going to be moving in, but not until tomorrow. We take a look at Futurecast for today. If you've got outdoor plans, you are in great shape. You don't have to worry about showers. You don't have to worry about thunderstorms, maybe some low clouds and fog along the coast, but otherwise it is going to be dry across the board for your Labor Day. Looks like you have a good day off, if an extra 3-day weekend for you. There's a look at those temperatures, and we're going to be hovering around that 100-degree mark or higher for some of us in the valley. I'd say it's a little hazy, smoky for many parts of Siskiyou County. That's where most of the fires are, to the west of in western Siskiyou County and even in northern Trinity County. Those are the biggest smoke producers, and most of that smoke is blowing eastward into central and even parts of eastern Siskiyou County. But in the meantime, what's this? A chance for showers for Tuesday in the valley? We've got a morning disturbance tomorrow that could bring some showers to parts of the valley. We'll take a closer look at that in our deeper dive. But for the coast, it's going to be mainly dry, although by Sunday, by the end of the weekend, maybe some showers that continues for the inland areas as well. And then for Trinity County, you've got the chance in there. And I say that because looking at the forecast models, not really favoring thunderstorms tomorrow or Wednesday in Trinity County, although there are some forecast offices that tend to disagree and are including Trinity County within that. So we'll take a closer look at that in the deeper dive as well. For Siskiyou County, Tuesday, Wednesday, Modoc County, as well as the Eastern Mountains, that's where I see the best chances for thunderstorms Tuesday and Wednesday. We may linger into Thursday in some areas here, especially Siskiyou and Modoc counties, and then it looks like those chances may diminish by Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I am seeing some inconsistencies in chances once we do get past the middle of the week and go into the end of the week and this upcoming weekend. So this is a 7-day forecast. that may be changing on a regular basis as we have some, we'll call it unstable atmosphere. We'll call it unsettled a little bit as well. All right, here's a look at the latest what's going on with the fires here, and this is sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service, and we're going to start off with the Dillon fire, and you can see it's grown now to 6,352 acres, but the good news is, yes, we're seeing it grow, but we're also seeing some containment now, and that's as of 2 o'clock, a little after 2 o'clock this morning, that was reported. But with the north end of the fire, you can see there at 1.8 miles from Cottage Grove. There you can see all of the evacuation orders, which means go now. You can't be there. You shouldn't be there. And the evacuation warning means get ready to evacuate. Now, looking at some of the latest satellite detected activity here, pretty much in alignment with where that fire perimeter is. You can see that line or that most likely a fire operation. I haven't checked the latest discussion on it, but that is indicative of a fire operation. That is, they make a line, they burn a line to prevent the fire from moving any farther to the west there. But that's where you can see some of the activity. South end of the fire, north end of the fire, but not a lot of activity here on the east side, and even that little sliver on the east side of Highway 96 either. So that's good to see that we're not seeing that activity off to the east here. In the meantime, I want to show you the blue fire. This has also been fairly active. We now have an evacuation order for the blue fire. There you can see, and plenty of evacuation warnings as it does kind of grow larger. We've seen it grow larger at about 1,236 acres. The north end of the fire, unfortunately, has seen a lot of activity in the last 6 to 12 hours, also on the west side of the fire. And it has grown a little bit closer to Sayet Valley at about 2.3 miles from the Sayet Valley area. Let's take you down to the south here, and this is going to be in northern Trinity County. This is the Lick fire. As of yesterday afternoon, it's at 36 acres with 0% containment. Looking at some of the most recent activity, it hasn't been very active, which is obviously good to see. It is about 4.5 miles from Coffee Creek. Let's take you out to the Peak fire now. This one doesn't look to have grown a whole lot over the last 24 hours or so. The latest report coming in is as of, when was that latest report? Let's take a look at that here. We're going to take a look at the satellite detected activity here, and yes, 2:53, so about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon is the latest report coming in on this one at just under 400 acres. Most likely it has grown, as you can see some of the recent activity on that northwest side of the fire, kind of going more over into the peak of that mountain at 5% containment. But as I mentioned, as we go into this morning, we may start to see some more reports coming in from the Peak fire, and I would be willing to estimate that that fire will have grown in acreage, but hopefully maybe some more containment on top of that. All right, we take a look at some of the distances, and those have not changed over the last 12 to 24 hours. 8.5 miles from Trinity Center and about 13 miles from Coffee Creek. And now we're also going to take a look at the Big Cliff fire. Haven't been getting a lot of updates on this one since August 29th, 1:03 p.m. Just under 1,000 acres at 75% containment. It may be larger, it may have better containment. We'll see. The Big Cliff fire hasn't been sending out a lot of updates as of late, and that tends to be because it's just not quite as active. Now, again, you can see the blue, the log, the Peak fire, and the Dillon fire, all most active here, and where we're seeing most of the smoke being produced here, as it's mainly in northern Trinity County, western Siskiyou County, where most of that smoke is. That kind of spreads into tonight into the Mount Shasta area, northern Shasta County. It's also hoping to produce some haze and a little bit of smoke out towards parts of the valley in the morning hours as well. That's tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Then we take you into Tuesday afternoon, and you can see kind of another repeat of that as we're seeing most of that smoke from the Peak, Log, Dillon, and Blue fires. All right, let's take a look at the winds as we kind of move forward and take a look at any fire hazards there, and the winds are picking up, and as you can see as we go into Tuesday afternoon, they're picking up especially in the eastern mountains, and that's going to be thunderstorm generated. But for the valley, it's mainly just going to be that typical afternoon breezy conditions on your Tuesday, and then Wednesday the wind's not that strong for the first half of the day, but probably picking back up again in the afternoon. Today we're in the moderate to high risk here for the valley, even for central Siskiyou County. We're going to pretty much repeat that as we go into your Tuesday. No big surprises, nothing alarming here. Taking a look at the severe weather outlook, it is including the valley. I don't think the valley will see quite as much activity, and you can see in Trinity County we are seeing some activity there based on the Storm Prediction Center. It's getting kind of iffy as to whether or not even Trinity County get caught up in this activity at all, even for tomorrow. Storm Prediction Center is backing off on Trinity County by Wednesday, as well as western Siskiyou County, with the bulk of the activity north and east of the valley. But with that said, the National Weather Service has issued a fire weather watch, which does include Trinity County for your Tuesday. And this has been the trend here this summer. Even though we're expecting thunderstorms in Lassen and Plumas counties, there are no fire weather watches there, and that's been the trend, even when we do see lightning-sparked fires. Not sure why we don't see those, but just note that that area of tan color should be within Lassen and Plumas counties, as well as we're going to see those thunderstorms. And there you can see, again, I think it's overshooting to the west of the valley into Trinity County here. That's the case even on Wednesday. I think it's overshooting. I think it's mainly Siskiyou, Modoc, and in the areas east of the valley as well. But you get the idea. The forecast offices are certainly keeping a close eye on things and kind of looking at things closely as far as that potential for thunderstorms and where we could see some of those dry lightning strikes. Want to remind you there is a free 24-hour streaming channel that you have access to, and it is available on Fire Stick, Roku. It's available anywhere really Weather NorCal is available, including YouTube. Anywhere YouTube is available, including your smart TV. And what I like about the YouTube app is you can watch the 24-hour channel that you see here, but on demand, you can watch the latest video forecast. But you can also watch the 24-hour channel on the free Weather NorCal app and at weathernorcal.com, so be sure to check that out. So here's the big picture. We're going into our deeper dive now. We're going to really kind of break things down here for you. So you've got an area of low pressure right here, another one here. This is kind of a general troughing that we have in cooler air. This is pretty much going to stay put. We're not going to see this move a whole lot, but we do have high pressure building in from the desert southwest. That's going to keep our temperatures fairly hot. Now, not as hot as we initially thought last week. We're talking temperatures a little over 100 degrees for some of the hottest locations. Now, there is still some fairly dry air in place, but there are signs that we may see some of that monsoon moisture work its way up from the south. Let's show you that here as we look at the moisture content. When you start getting into the greens here, that's when we have probably most likely enough available moisture for us to squeeze out some thunderstorms. And you can see that we're just getting into some of those greens and even a little bit of yellow in there. So again, you start getting a little bit more moisture with yellow and oranges. We're not quite in that. Now, look at Wednesday. You see here to the west and even northwest of the valley, it's got a bit of a dry slot right here. This is why I'm not completely sold that Trinity County will see any activity on Wednesday, but we certainly have to keep that chance in there because there may be just enough leftover moisture to squeeze out some of those thunderstorms. Now, Thursday, we're still seeing some moisture here, so we can't rule out that potential. We take you into your Friday, we're seeing less moisture here to the east, but there is more moisture coming in from the west. Those areas of low pressure I was talking about off to our west, that will be inching closer. That could bring some showers for parts of the north coast by the end of this upcoming weekend. Once again, I think it's overshooting it for Trinity County, but I do think the rest of the areas in green in the mountains have the best chances for thunderstorms. A little iffy is whether or not the valley will see anything, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. We're going to compare the HRRR forecast model and our in-house forecast model to show you what I'm talking about. But I think this is a much better representation, at least for Wednesday, as I think this will be the best chances for thunderstorms, slimmer chances for places like Trinity County. So let's start with the HRRR forecast model. Today, as all the models agree, it's going to be a dry day. So for those of you that have the day off, you have outdoor plans, you are going to be in great shape, just a bit on the hot side, especially in the valley. Now, take a look at Tuesday morning. Most of the activity is well off to the east into Lassen and Plumas counties. Yes, there's actually a disturbance with that moisture that is going to already start to squeeze out some of that moisture, but it's the afternoon, what we call convection, that we'll start to see those thunderstorms popping up. Central eastern Siskiyou, I'd say Modoc County could see some activity, Lassen, parts of Plumas, and even northeastern Shasta County around the Bernie area could see some thunderstorms on Tuesday. But look at Trinity County. You don't see any activity there. Most of it is to the north and east of the valley. And then as we go into your Tuesday night, that should start to diminish. That's as far as this particular forecast model goes out. Let's take a look at our in-house model. Now, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. First of all, yes, it's going to be a dry day for your Monday, right? And even some clouds along the coast, but plenty of sunshine throughout the day on Monday. But look at this. This model wants to bring in some showers by Tuesday morning in eastern portions of Butte County, and then this looks to work its way northwestward throughout the morning hours on Tuesday. There's midday. You see how Redding, Red Bluff, I'd even say places like Corning could see that potential based on this model here. Now remember, early in the morning Tuesday, it was all right here with nothing here. So we're seeing some disagreements, but with that said, I'm going to include a chance, especially for the first half of the day in the valley, to maybe see some activity. And then by Tuesday afternoon, most of it to the north and east of the valley here. Now, Wednesday, this model only goes out to about midday on Wednesday. So we'll see where this model in particular takes most of that activity here for Wednesday afternoon as we go into 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I would anticipate that most of it will be north and east of the valley, with most likely no activity here for parts of Trinity County. So that's why I'm not really sold on the idea that Trinity County in general during this time frame of Tuesday, Wednesday will even see any activity here. Now, the long range forecast model, this is coming in from the GFS, the American forecast model. It's, it's picking up on a little bit of activity here on Thursday. That's that moisture I was talking about toward the end of the week. Friday, it's still kind of showing some along the Sierra and maybe up north as well. And then you can see here, as we see that area of low pressure move in closer by the end of this upcoming weekend, maybe some showers coming into parts of the north coast here by Sunday and possibly into Monday. Now, the Climate Prediction Center does have us within that wetter than normal category, so that does help to support that idea that we will be looking at those kind of typically I use the word unsettled for the winter season, but unsettled is kind of the word we're going to be using here as we go through this week and into this upcoming weekend, meaning there's going to be that potential for some showers, but it's kind of a day-by-day basis to really be able to fine-tune where we expect to see some of that activity later on in the week. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the temperatures. This mild air pretty much stays in place while this heat is what's building and getting stronger. That's why our temperatures are going to stay fairly hot, as it's kind of nudging that mild air off to our west. However, by the time we get to the end of the week, we're going to start to see this mild air begin to win over, and then that will push the heat down to our south and east, and we start to see our temperatures drop by Thursday, Friday, and even another cooler shot of air coming in from the south here. That's that chance for rain, by the way, coming into the north coast, but also really helping to drop our temperatures down this weekend as well. You see that in the 10-day trend. Yes, it's going to be pretty hot here through at least most of the week, but then we really see those temperatures plummet. I mean, we're talking 80s possibly by this upcoming weekend and into next week. For the valley, yes, 80s possibly in the valley is what it's looking like in the long range. Here's a look at your lake levels, and again, the key here is, because this is depressing, right? 63 capacity at this point. However, where we typically are, because these are reservoirs, this is water that we use, right? So through the summer, we don't get any rain typically, and at least not enough to really help fill up those lakes, and we see the lakes drop. However, where we typically are in the winter is where we typically are this time of the year for lake levels. That's the number we want to focus on. As long as we can keep that above 100%, we are in amazing shape. Now, let's take a look at the wave heights going into your Monday and your Tuesday. You can see there's not going to be much change there over the next 24 hours or so. So, looking at your marine forecast here for Your Monday, north winds at 5 to 10 knots. There's going to be some of that patchy, dense fog, especially in the morning hours. Probably not as bad by the afternoon. Here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Taking a look at Trinity County, yeah, still pretty hot. We're talking upper 90s for the most part. Ruth even around 91, 85 in Mad River. So here you go. Chance for showers and thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday. Not 100% sold that we'll see anything either one of those days. We'll have to keep watching that closely. Thursday, Friday, maybe a bit of a break. And then as that system comes in from the west, that may help to bring in a few showers here for the weekend. Take you out towards your Dignity Health North Coast neighborhood forecast. There's the mostly cloudy skies, better chances for showers coming in by Sunday, with temperatures today in the 60s, obviously, along the coast. Take you up north. I don't have anything for you inland at least this week, but by this weekend into Sunday, maybe a chance for some showers, and that'll probably go into Monday of next week as well. Your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the 80s and 90s there. There's that chance for thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even a lingering chance on Thursday, and then drying out for Friday, Saturday, possibly Sunday as well. Maybe a bit smoky out there in parts. I'd say best chances for that smoke will be western Siskiyou. You start heading eastward into Siskiyou County, the smoke begins to dissipate a bit. And there you can see 90 for Fort Bidwell, 87 degrees in Cedarville. Thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday, a chance on Thursday, and then it looks like it dries out by the time you get into Friday through the weekend. Eastern Mountains, you've got thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday, low 90s for Thursday, Friday, down to the 80s by Saturday and Sunday. And here's your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Again, I've included that chance. We could see some activity, especially to the east side of the valley here as we go through the morning on Tuesday. Not today, but tomorrow. So don't be surprised you're heading off to your first day of the work for the week. You may be dealing with a few showers in some areas here for the morning hours. But taking a look at your 7-day forecast for Chico for your Labor Day, looks pretty hot, but it will be dry, and then really even dry through the next 7 days. Temperatures upper 80s by the time we get into Saturday and Sunday. We take you up to the north. 101 for Redding, 99 for the city of Shasta Lake, 94 in Lakehead. Look for a high of 101 in Palisadro. Here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. There's that chance for some morning showers, probably mid to late morning hours, and then it looks like it's mainly dry though. Temperatures around 100 degrees through Thursday, and then temperatures start to drop by Sunday. Yeah, Sunday, we could drop down into the 80s. All right, that is your morning update. I'll be back again at noon with the latest forecast. Have a great morning.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.